Hey guys! So today I'm going to be talking about my experience with Accutane and just my experience with acne overall. I didn't plan like a script or anything. I'm kind of just going right into it because I'm really excited because I'm done with Accutane now. I finished my 6 month. I have 5 days left, but I'm done. So I'm just gonna kind of get right into it. I started breaking out when I was 7 years old. I'm 21 years old now. Yes, I started breaking out when I was 7 years old. I started just getting like little things here and there. I'll include some pictures, but it was weird. Like I was in 3rd grade and I was the only one that was breaking out. But I didn't think much of it. My mom was just like, oh, like use these products to wash your face instead of just using like water. And she kind of told me what to do. She was like, don't touch them, just wash your face with these products and you should be good. So I did that. Then I was 8 years old and I still had like little breakouts, and then I was 9 years old and 10 years old and I started breaking out more. You know, this is all in elementary school. Like I wasn't even going through puberty or anything. Like I didn't go through puberty until I was 13 years old. Then when I was 11, I started getting cystic acne. Painful cystic acne, like mainly on like my cheeks and like my forehead. Like I was washing my face, I was doing everything, changing my sheets. Yeah, I had great hygiene. Then when I was 12, it really started to get worse, and I think this was around 6th grade that my mom actually like gave me concealer, showed me how to put on concealer because my skin was so bad. And I honestly became kind of embarrassed about it. I had a period when I was 13 and 14 where it wasn't as bad actually. When I was 15, it started getting worse again. And this is where I started wearing like full-blown makeup. They're wearing like foundation and concealer and stuff to really just cover my face, anything that was full coverage. So I don't really have a lot of pictures from back then because either I'm wearing a full face of makeup or I was retouching all of my pictures to cover out my acne. I don't have many pictures, but it was bad, trust me. There were times when I was 15 where we had mandatory practices because I was on the varsity softball team at my high school. We had mandatory practices after school, and there were times where I didn't go just because my skin was so bad and I was so embarrassed about it, and I had to take the fall for like not showing up. When I was 16, yep, it was still really bad, and 17, it was still really bad. When I was 18, it's when Snapchat kind of became more of a thing, and you know, you were sending pictures to other people of yourself. Either I would take pictures on this much of my face or this much of my face, because depending on where I had my acne, or if I wanted to take more of my face, I would get up in the morning, even if I was staying home all day, I would get up in the morning and I would put on makeup to send Snapchat streaks because it was so bad and I was so embarrassed about it. There were times where I was, 17 and 18, and in order for me to walk out of my room and go downstairs to see my family, I would put makeup on because it was so bad and I was so embarrassed, and I just had so much cystic acne. So then when I was 18, I finally got the courage. I was so embarrassed about it, but I finally got the courage to see a dermatologist. They like to start you on smaller things at first. So they started with like a topical cream, and I would just put that on my face like once or twice a day. I don't really remember. Did not do anything. So then I went back and we started doxycycline. I started that when I was 18, for October 2017, I think. It actually started working. I was on that for I think 6 months, and by summer, like my skin was clear. Like it looked so good, but my skin wasn't like terrible. It was bad, but it wasn't like terrible. It was mainly just like cystic acne like here and there. It wasn't just like all over my face. So the doxycycline worked. And then in the fall, it started coming back a little bit, very, very slowly. And by the next winter, which was like January, February 2019, it got a lot worse again. So I went back to the dermatologist and I just said like, my acne's back, like what do I do? And she didn't even say anything. She was just like, all right, well, another round of doxycycline, bye. And I was like, okay. So I went on doxycycline again. It had been 5 months and it didn't do anything. So I was on antibiotics, doxycycline, for 10 months within like 20 or 21 months. And that's not good for you because they're antibiotics. So like I started having like stomach problems and stuff and health issues because I was on antibiotics for so long in such a short amount of time. And the second time it didn't do anything for me. So eventually I just stopped. I stopped going to that dermatologist, and I think August is when I canceled my appointment, and my skin just got so much worse. Like I was 20 years old with the worst acne ever. It started to become cystic all in here, sometimes on my forehead, sometimes on my cheeks, like literally like on my lip. I started getting it all down my neck. Like I would get cystic acne on my neck. Like I thought that they were like actual like cysts or something that I needed to see a doctor about. Like it was gross. It was so bad. It got worse and worse and worse. And then in October, I made an appointment with a new dermatologist, and this one was rated 5 stars. So I was like, all right, like in my health insurance. So I was like, I'll give it a try, whatever. Right, like my skin is terrible. It is at its worst point at this point. It is so bad. Even wearing full coverage makeup, it's still like all the bumps were showing. It was so bad. I actually have a video though of like what my makeup routine was like, because I did do a very good job of covering it though. But like if you guys have bad acne and you can't get on Accutane or whatever, if you don't want to, I can show or provide the link to that video because it's unlisted. I've learned because I had been doing it for like 10 years, like 9 years. I tried really hard to accept myself. I really tried really hard to stop wearing so much makeup for Snapchat pictures and pictures. There were people that were telling me like, hey, like I think we need a skincare intervention, and I'm like, no we don't. Like I tried so many different products, face masks, I got facials, like I got everything and nothing was helping it. So it was honestly very offending to me when people are like, we need a skincare intervention, or you need to try this product because your acne is so bad. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's bad, but nothing is going to help it at this point. So then I make my appointment, and I get my appointment for November. So I go to the dermatologist, she looks at my skin. I told her I've been on topicals, I've been on doxycycline, I've tried every product out there and nothing worked. Doxycycline worked once, but it didn't work the second time, and it honestly just came back so much worse. And she was like, all right, we're gonna put you on Accutane. And I was like, finally, like this is all I wanted. I wanted my skin to get better. And she told me like her daughter went on it, and like it made her skin so much better, and that it's basically like a cure, and it's what all the celebrities use. You know, like I think Kylie or Kendall Jenner, I don't really know them. Bella Thorne went on it. Like there's so many people that have been on it. So I was so happy, but then she was like, all right, but since you're a girl, you have to have 2 negative pregnancy tests before we can put you on Accutane, because the FDA regulates it so much. So this is going to be getting into my experience with Accutane. That was a little frustrating. So I had to do a pregnancy test that day, and it was negative, of course. And then I had to do another one in December and show it to them that I wasn't pregnant. I had 2 choices. I either had to go on birth control, or 2 forms of birth control, either like a pill or like IUD or something like that. And then I also, if I wanted to have sex, I had to wear, or the guy had to wear a condom. So I had to have 2 forms, or I could do abstinence. And I was like, well, I'm not doing anything, and I'm not gonna just put birth control into my body for no reason. So I did abstinence, but I still had to do pregnancy tests every single month. Then I go in December, I have the second negative pregnancy test, and I get prescribed Accutane. But then there was the process of having to register with iPledge. It's like a thing affiliated with the FDA, I think. And you have to answer these like 10 true or false questions. And it'll be like, I agree not to have sexual activity with another man over the course of these 6 months, and a month before and a month after. And I'm like, yes, like I agree. Or it's like, you can get pregnant by doing this, true or false. And then it's like, yeah, so there's like all these questions, and then as soon as you answer those questions, you have to call the pharmacy, which is like a specific pharmacy. Then you call them, you tell them that you did your iPledge questions, they register and like see that you did it, and then they actually deliver your Accutane like to your door, which is kind of cool. These are the pictures like right before that I probably showed earlier, I don't know. And then I started my first month. First month was not very fun. I'd say the first month was the worst month. My skin got so dry. Like I used to have very oily skin, like it was really nasty. So then all of a sudden like something was drying my skin out, and it was really weird. One perk about Accutane that I forgot to mention was that even though it was drying you out so much, it was also drying like your scalp out, and I only had to wash my hair once a week. Like 6 or 7 days would go by and it would look like I washed my hair yesterday or like last night. Like I never had to wash it. I only washed it because I felt like I should. So that was a good thing. My skin was so gross. Like I would wake up and all of this would just be like dry. My lips were so chapped. I went through so many chapsticks, like certain medicated chapsticks, and like Vaseline. One more thing I forgot to add while I was editing, my lips actually ended up getting like so dry and cracking so badly that I got prescribed a cream. It's like hydrocortisone cream, I think, and that helped a little bit. Like I would put on the corners and like around my mouth, and it did help with like the cracking and the peeling off. So just wanted to say one more thing. This is the chapstick that I like to use. It's the EOS one, and you have to get the mint one because this one helped my lips so much in between using like Vaseline and stuff. I had so many of these. I had one in like my wallet, I had one out here in the living room, I had one in my room, like I had them everywhere. And the great thing about this is that I really feel like it really like hydrates your lips, but at the same time it's minty. So if your lips are burning or like really dry and burning, I definitely feel like it kind of calms down and gives that like menthol mint kind of feeling, you know. So if you go on it, I would say use this chapstick. No like doctor recommended it to me, that's just from my experience. So yeah, my face started to look so red that it looked like I was a tomato. Like my face was so red. So like the first couple of days I was putting on moisturizer, like not kidding, like 6 or 7 times a day. I realized that actually like wasn't really helping, probably making my skin extra red. My body was getting used to it, and I was on a lower dose. Like you started with a lower dose your first month. I started getting nosebleeds too. Like whenever I blew my nose, it would be straight blood. Or it would be like my nose was so dry that I could not breathe at night because it was just so dry. This is weird, but I actually went out and got, it's like a saline spray, and you spray it in your nose, and it was the only way for me to be able to like blow my nose and be able to breathe out of my nose. Like it was so bad. My face would be so painful. Like I would try to put on foundation and I couldn't. Like my face would be burning because it was just so dry and so red and so irritated that first month, and it wasn't even helping my skin. I'd say like around day 5 it started to like lessen a little bit, but after that it started to get worse again. But that's what happens, like it gets worse before it gets better. So I was really frustrated that first month because it was like I was having all these side effects that were not fun while my skin was getting worse. Then I went to my dermatologist the second month. I gave my negative pregnancy test. The first 2 months I also had to do blood tests as well. I had to get 4 different tests done. If I can remember properly, it was a pregnancy test. It tested your liver. I don't really remember them, but they were 2 others. So they would draw a lot of blood. That was for the first 2 months because Accutane is completely processed like by your liver, and it can be hard on your liver, so you have to make sure that like your liver's functioning well. That was kind of annoying. I only had to do that the first month when I first started it, and the second month, because the second month is when I went up from 40 to 60 milligrams, so we had to make sure that it was okay. So the second month came around, my skin was still getting worse. Like my skin was still super dry, I was still getting nosebleeds, it wasn't really getting better, like I was getting frustrated. Then the third month came around and I went back to the dermatologist. I was still on 60 milligrams, did my negative pregnancy test, did my I pledge questions, called to get my medication, got it delivered a few days later. I think it started to get a little bit better at this point. There were times where it was like it would get really bad again, but then it would go away really quickly. Then I started to get kind of worse side effects. So I started in December, January was the second month, this was February. So in February I started to get kind of worse side effects. My hands started to get really dry, like if you felt them, they were so gross, so rough, and they would be red, and sometimes they would go like up my arm, and sometimes like literally the skin would peel off my arms. Like I have pictures of that as well. I started to get some joint pain too, like in my knees. It wasn't all the time, it was like very occasionally, but there were times where like I would walk up the stairs and it would hurt sometimes. Like it would hurt my knees and I'd have to walk like very slowly, like 1 step and then 1 step instead of like walking like that, you know? But I mean, that didn't happen all the time. And then the 4th month came around, it was March. So my skin actually started seeing a real improvement at this point. I was having headaches too, but that could be due to other things. It was March, so it was my 21st birthday. And you're not supposed to drink on Accutane, like at most 1 drink. Because your tolerance lowers so much because, you know, it's like the Accutane's trying to be processed by your liver while the alcohol is trying to be processed by your liver, and I'm someone who can drink a lot. Normally I have a really high tolerance, I process it really well and really quickly. Like I've never gotten sick from drinking, but I tried drinking on Accutane. This was actually at a hockey game. We went to a bar and I had literally like 3 or 4 drinks. I completely blacked out. Like I don't black out on alcohol either. I completely blacked out. And then we went down to our seats and we sat there. As soon as we sat down, I like put my head on my friend and I was like, I need to just chill for a little bit. Like I am too drunk right now. But then we found out we were in the wrong seats, so my parents were like, all right, we gotta move. And as soon as I stood up, I was like, yeah, nope. And I dragged my mom, I ran up the stairs and got into the concourse, threw up in every single concourse trash can on the way to the bathroom, then continued to throw up in the bathroom on the trash can for 10 minutes maybe, like non-stop throwing up. I actually asked my mom to please take me to the hospital, like I wanted to go home, but like we paid for those hockey tickets, so we couldn't just leave. But I swear I had alcohol poisoning. Like I was legit so sick. So don't drink on Accutane. Please don't. Like it's not fun. Even if you think that you can or just have a few, you're gonna have an experience just like me. No matter your tolerance, like I'm saying, like I have a super high tolerance, and that's what happened to me. It was between 4th and 5th month. It was honestly the worst months. It might have been due just to my personal situation. Basically with your dosage, you're supposed to be on 1 milligram per 1 kilogram of your weight. I was already about 10 milligrams over what I should have been because of my extensive scarring. You have to, if you have really bad scarring or like really bad acne, you have to be on a higher dose, like the highest dose that you can handle, so that it really actually clears it. I accidentally lost 10 pounds around these months because I was really stressed out. So then I was on 20 milligrams more than I should have been, and I started to have such bad side effects. I mean, I was so fatigued, like I couldn't do anything. I had terrible headaches, like my head would be pounding. I started having blurry vision. Like I basically like had all the side effects, and the joint pain was bad, like the dry skin was bad, the skin on my arms, it was bad, the nosebleeds, like my nose actually started dripping with blood. Like I would just be looking at someone, they'd be like, yo, like your nose is bleeding. And one more thing too, this might be a little TMI, my periods actually got so messed up too. Like they're normally regular, they're normally like 28 days apart, and they were coming like 45 days apart, which I don't know if a side effect, it's possible, it's a rare side effect, but it happened to me. It was like all messed up, so that could have been a side effect as well, but that could have also been my personal situation. But anyway, at this point I was really like, I don't know if this is worth it anymore. Like I really can't do all these side effects. So I ended up actually calling on my dermatologist. Like I'm someone who usually just pushes through if the end result is going to be good, or I think it's going to be good, but I was fed up. So I called my dermatologist and I was like, I think I need to be on a lower dosage right now or be off of it. Like I don't know if I can do this anymore. And like I was talking to her and she was like, all right, so stop for a little bit, stop for a few days, then start taking the 1 instead of the 2. I actually did 30 milligrams for 3 days, skipped the 1 day, and then I actually went right back up to 60 because I was scared my skin was gonna get bad. Honestly, the side effects weren't as bad then when I went back on it. Then the 5th month came around and my skin actually, okay, so it really started to get better, right? And I learned a trick. I started having the Accutane with a meal. You absorb it better with a meal, but there's actually fewer side effects when you have it with a meal, so I started doing that. Sometimes I would actually take 1 in the morning, 1 at night, which also helped as well. I started putting like extreme moisturizer on my hands morning and night, which helped as well too. Like I'm still on Accutane, I still have 5 days left and my hands like aren't even bad. My skin is actually did not really get dry anymore. Like it's like a little dry, but I'm used to it, and I don't get like the scaly kind of dry skin peeling off anymore, as you can see. So the 5th month wasn't as bad, and yeah, my skin really started getting better. So I started not hating it anymore. Yes, I was still doing the negative pregnancy test, you know, every month. When I was going into my 6 months, I had my appointment, showed my negative pregnancy test, took my questions, got my medication. She said, this will either be the last month or we'll do 1 more month, because it depends on how you look at the end of this month, because normally people do 6 months, but some people can do 5 and some people have to do 7. But like for me, like I started looking better actually around the 3rd month. So my dermatologist said you might actually be good in 5 months, but then I ended up going to 6. And at my 6-month appointment, she told me that I might actually need a 7th month, which was a little frustrating to me, but it was like worth it because my skin was getting better and I just wanted it, like I went through all of that. I wanted to look as good as possible. I started on the 6th month and my skin was literally clear. Like I wasn't breaking out at all. I just had like some little like residue scarring because it was so severe. And I still have like tiny bits of scarring, but it's like not even noticeable really. Like I have no makeup on and that's what it looks like. So I was finishing up the 6th month. Really like no side effects this month, I'd say. Like Not that I've noticed. I'm telling you, dry skin's not bad, my hands aren't bad. The nosebleeds, like I'm not getting nosebleeds anymore. No headaches, no blurry vision, joint pain, not really. So no side effects that I've really noticed, but my skin was just getting so much better and I felt so much better about myself. I actually was able to take pictures of myself, not retouching them. Like I was able to take Snapchat pictures of my whole face, and like people started commenting, like friends and like my parents, like they started commenting like, wow, like your skin looks so much better. And I just felt so much better about myself, and it really highlighted my self-esteem. I was finishing up the 6th month. I actually just had my appointment earlier this morning at the very end of my 6th month, and she said it looked good and she said that I can be done. So that was, I told her actually I expressed my concerns that I was nervous because I was like, oh no, because like doxycycline worked the first time, but then it came back and it came back more severe than it has ever been. So I was like, what if it just comes back? Like I'm so nervous. I think she said like 80% of the time, like people's skin is just cured forever. Like she said every once in a while you might get like little spots, but like it'll be fine. And if anything, now your acne, because it's like the oil glands and like your skin is changed in your body, it'll be so much more treatable the next time if it does come back. So she said like you probably won't need anything more than like a topical cream if it comes back. And if it really does, which is very, very rare, you might have to go on a second time, but like that's extremely rare. So then I told her, I was like, okay, then I'm cool with being done. So now I have my 5 days left of this month, of my 6th month, because I wasn't done yet. Yeah, now it looks like this. So my final thoughts on Accutane. I guess I would say it was actually 100% worth it. There are lots of horror stories about it, about how like it forever like affected them and made them like depressed. Like a possible side effect is like being depressed or suicidal or stuff, but I feel like that's a side effect of every single medication out there. I personally feel like I don't know which one causes which. Like I feel like just having bad acne or having it worsen makes you more depressed. That's what I feel like it's about, because it seems like everyone, when their skin clears up, they feel better. I mean, I'm not saying like an actual mental illness of major depressive disorder, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about like overall. I would say it's completely worth it. Like I was saying, there's so many horror stories about that out there, how it's like so awful and the side effects were so terrible and like they lasted like years and it forever changed me, and like I hate that I was on it. I'd say that's more like rare. Honestly, if it can make someone go from like this to this, like I'll show you the full comparison right here. Yes, maybe you get some side effects over the course of 6 months. Maybe you can't drink. Maybe you can't really have sex or to get pregnancy tests and blood tests. But like, is that not worth it? I think it's completely worth it. So I would say if you are going to go on Accutane and like you are prepared for the side effects, I would say go for it. Don't hold me liable if you take it and you end up having a terrible experience. Like, sorry, like do what you think is right, but I'm just saying like kind of clearing the air on how people say it's like such a bad drug when it's really like, look at my skin. So even though I had those bad months, I would say I am so glad I did it. Like so glad that I did it. And the 6 months actually went by pretty quickly. Like taking Accutane kind of just became a routine. Like it really like wasn't that big of a deal. And like I said, the side effects really lessened as I got to my last few months, and the 1st month was the worst month. So just get through the 1st month, get through maybe like the next couple if you hit some rough patches, and then the last few will be the best because you will really see a difference. Side effects should lessen and you'll just get really excited. One more thing though, try not to go on it in the winter, because the winter it's already really dry, and that's probably why I was so dry. And the summer, watch out as well, because apparently you can burn more easily. I did it in the winter and spring, so I haven't really tested out the burning part. Just try to, if you can, time it right. But yes, that is kind of my experience. I hope this wasn't too long, and I hope it was somewhat entertaining. But I'm just really excited that I just got the news that I'm done. I guess I will see you guys later on more of my daily vlogs or more story times that I do. Alright, see ya!